Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Last week, we found ourselves at one of the newest purpose-built road courses in America, but it wasn't all barbecue and rock and roll 2 weeks ago at Barber Motorsports Park, as some of our championship, and did I say last week? 2 weeks ago. It wasn't all barbecue and rock and roll 2 weeks ago at Barber Motorsports Park, because some of our championship contenders were left singing the Memphis Blues as they were on Beale Street. But tonight, at one of the oldest courses in North America, those same drivers are going to have a chance at redemption on a course known as much for its low grip pavement and sandy runoff as for its iconic corkscrew and its 60-foot stomach churning drop. Welcome everybody to WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca and round 4 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sportscar Series presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and tonight we've got Tim Cox sitting in for Larry McLeod, who should be back with us next week for the Classic Sprint Series. But let's not forget Dennis Branch and Jonathan Grabowski in the virtual production truck, bringing you all the best camera angles and action that Apex Racing TV is known for. So Tim, welcome back to the Sportscar Series.
Thank you very much, Greg. Absolute pleasure to be joining you in the commentary booth this one again. And well, as you said, Laguna Seca, or the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, to give it by its official new name for marketing reasons, obviously. Wow.
And I just finally learned how to call it Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca after 17 years. But
well, you know, it's like when they've renamed some of the corners. Like for instance, Parabolica now has a new name at Monza, but it still always will be Parabolica. The bus stop at Daytona is now the Le Mans Chicane. It'll always be the it'll always be the bus stop. But as you mentioned, the corkscrew. Wow, what can we say about it? It's probably one of the most, if not the most iconic and easily recognizable corners in, well, not just North America, but world motorsport, descending down something like 8 stories in such a short space. It's a frightening descent, and you don't really get the true perception of it from the camera angles compared to real life. But It's going to be a challenge for the drivers, and this track a little bit more faster than what it perceives as well to be. Of course, that race down to, well, a lot of people say turn 1, officially turn 2 due to the kink on the run down to the hairpin, because what the motorbikes have to take it as a corner, so hence why it's actually officially classed as turn 2. But we always know about Laguna Seca, you're guaranteed on one thing, and that's action and drama. Although that's technically two things. Two things,
exactly. So you know, as I mentioned last week, and by the way, I felt sort of dirty at Barber last week, as they have a corkscrew also, but it certainly does not compare to what we see here up on the Monterey Peninsula of California. You know, as I mentioned in the open, we had some definite challenges with mixed class racing at Barber, between the rolling hills, the never-ending stream of corners, the very short straightaways, and you know, I think our drivers are going to probably endure some of those same challenges here at Laguna Seca. Only 2 miles, 11 turns, or 2.2 miles and 11 turns, and again, very low grip surface here. Although I've gotten word that pavement is going to be repaved for the first time in many years this fall, as the Monterey County Board of Supervisors allocated over $9.5 million to upgrading the facility in the off season. But real quick, as Tim was talking about some of the iconic features of this track that has been in use since 1957, let's turn things over to Kevin Ford, who, as always, is going to give us the track guide, this time here from WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca.
Welcome, everyone, to WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, located here in Monterey, California. Great to have you with us as we provide you your track guide today around this 2.2-mile road course. Opened all the way back in 1957, this course has challenged the best of drivers over the years and is one of my favorites and certainly one of the most recognized courses in the U.S. Well, let's head up the front straightaway here as we get ready for our track guide. You'll notice our pit area to the left, our grandstands there to the right. And as we head across the stripe and underneath the walkway tower, we'll come through turn 1 here, which is just a very slight left-hander. But this will bring us down into the very heavy downhill brake zone of Andretti Hairpin. Turn 2, double left-hander, get that car right down to the apex, track out, come back to the left here for our entry into turn 3. We'll roll this center, come right back to throttle. This corner kind of comes at you a little quick on exit. And then down into turn 4 here. Very fast right-hander, and here's where you can really open her up. First little fast shoot straightaway here as we head up into turn 5. Heavy on the brakes. Get down to the bottom here as well. Come up off the exit, track all the way to the outside as we head up the hill into the very blind entry of turn 6, the kink. Right down to the bottom, right back to the floor. Track out off of here, we'll come up the hill to another blind entrance to the world-famous corkscrew here at Laguna. Heavy on the brakes, down through the gears, back to the left, right back to the right. As we come up out of the exit, this will bring us into the very fast left-hander of turn 9, Rainy curve. Out of Rainy, we'll come down the hill here. We'll head right into this cambered right-hander, up out of there, and then towards the final corner here, turn 11 of Laguna Seca. Get some good rotation, come right back to throttle, and here we go. Down the front straightaway here, flat out. There is your track guide for beautiful Laguna Seca. Thank you for being with us.
All right, and thank you so much to Kevin Ford for tonight's track guide of WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. And for the second outing in a row, we're going to see Kevin out there in his BMW M4 GT4 tearing it up. He is currently, I believe, and we're going to have to check here where he stands in qualifying. Actually, has not set a time yet. And I don't believe we have any drivers that have set times yet in qualifying. I stand corrected, as Chris Walsh and Brendan Horan both set times in GT4 Pro, and we're starting to see more times come in. But as we now have, we're about 3 minutes into this 15-minute qualifying session. Drivers are out on what they call a lone qualifying session. Essentially, they have the track to themselves when they're out there. They don't have to worry about traffic. They don't have to worry about running up on other cars. They don't have to, well, unfortunately for some of them, they don't have to worry about the draft. But we are giving them 4 flying laps in order to set a fast time to set the grid for this evening's race. And so, Tim, really quick, let me run down as our drivers are just starting qualifying and we have time starting to come in, and we'll take a look at where everybody stands here in just a few moments. We are going to look back quickly to round 3 at Barber Motorsports Park. We'll give you a quick rundown on how our drivers finished up and where we currently are after 3 rounds in the championship. Let's start off with GT4 Pro, or Cameron Martineau. In his ST Racing Esports BMW M4 GT4 took the win, margin of victory over 16 seconds over Chris Walsh, his teammate, also in a BMW M4 GT4, finishing 3rd, the last step on the GT4 Pro podium. David Payton in the D2D E-Racing Aston Martin Vantage with Chris Thorman and Brendan Horan, his 2 teammates, finishing just off the podium. And if we take a look at the points now, after 3 rounds in GT4 Pro, Cameron Martineau is your current points leader with 94 points. He's got a 3-point advantage now over Mike Dam in the Orion Racing BMW M4 GT4. And we'll talk a little bit about Mike Dam here in just a few moments, because it was not the best outing for him at Barber, but luckily enough, a lot of his close competitors in the points did not have the best of evenings either. David Payton, as you can see in his Aston Martin Vantage, 7 points back from there. He is 7 points back from our leader with 87 points. He is currently tied for 3rd with his D2D E-Racing teammate, David Payton, and then Brendan Horan, a number of points, another, I believe, 18 points back from there. If we take a look over at GT3 AM, your winner 2 weeks ago from D2D E-Racing, Bobby Childs, in believe he was running, I'm trying to remember what car he was running. I believe he might have been running the Aston Martin. He is going to be switching over to the Mercedes AMG GT4, but I don't believe he is with us here tonight. Actually, a little bit light in the GT4 AM field, but he did take the win a few weeks ago. Steve Daniel in his SKKJ Racing Porsche Cayman finished 2nd. Russ Ruddock in the Flying Tortoise Motorsports BMW M4 GT4 took the last step on the podium with John Casey and Greg Mack finishing just off 4th. And actually, Casey finished 4th. Greg Mack had some equipment issues. He did not start the race. And so let's take a look at the point standings after 3 rounds in GT4 AM. Bobby Childs, your points leader, well, tied for the lead with Bobby Childs, so the Flying Tortoise Motorsports driver, and the D2D E-Racing entries, they are currently tied, and it is so close. Only 2 points separating those 2 drivers from the Porsche Cayman, the SKKJ Racing entry of Steve Daniel. And so Steve obviously looking for good points tonight. He is here. He is racing tonight. He is currently our fastest driver in GT3 and here in qualifying. And we'll give you the rundown there, as I said, in just a few moments. So now let's take a look over at TCR, where it was Brandon Whitworth taking the win, about a 4.5 second margin over Andre Saunders. The D2D E-Racing entry, the Honda Civic, took the win over the Hyundai Elantra, and this season very, very heavily populated by the Hyundai Elantras. So Saunders came in 2nd. Kevin Carlisle in the Nerdworks Elantra finished in 3rd, with Eric Violet in his D2D E-Racing Civic finishing just off the podium in 4th, and Andrew Kissinger in his Eclipse Racing Elantra finishing 5th. And again, if we go and take a look at the points, your leader right now, it is a battle here between the 2 D2D E-Racing teammates. Brandon Whitworth in his Honda Civic Type R currently with 108 points, leads the championship, with Eric Violet also in that Honda Civic Type R, 5 points back with 103 points. He's currently sitting second. Andre Saunders in his Hyundai Elantra, the Mohawk Racing entry, he is 8 points back from Violet, 13 points off the championship with 95, and then another 10 points back from there, not in the Elantra, but in a Hyundai Velociter, Austin Knight from Lead Paw Racing. And then we've got Brad Husty, who is going to be our, it should be our pre-race interview, currently running 5th in the TCR Championship. Husty, and actually, let's change that up. He is tied for 4th. You know, I need to look at this, Tim, maybe a little bit before we go on air. But Brad Husty currently tied with Austin Knight for 4th in the TCR Championship.
Incredibly close, isn't it? It's just going to show just how competitive this series is in terms of, well, outright race results, and the points really reflecting that. And I'm sure it's going to be no different here whatsoever in Laguna Seca. And I tell you what, some incredibly tight times. And
oh my gosh,
look at that.
Yes.
Wow, our top 3 even in GT4 Pro, just over a 10th, separating all 3 of them, Dan, Martineau and Walsh.
Yeah, there you go. 1/10 off of Dam's time of 1:27.758. Your provisional pole time is Cameron Martineau, who was our fastest driver during the week in practice, and Martineau had been putting in, I think, a best time of a 1:28.5. So right now in qualifying, quite a bit below that bar that Martineau had set during the week. And then, as you can see, Walsh there, Chris Walsh, currently running 3rd in GT3 AM. Well, you know, you're looking at the entire GT3 AM field there on the timing tower. Daniel, your current provisional pole sitter in class, Russ Ruddick, and then John Casey, and then in TCR, talk about close. Andre Saunders with a 1:30.365. Austin Knight only 25 hundredths of a second off from there. But Tim, right now we have, and we mentioned that we were going to have Brad Husty in to talk to him pre-race. We have him now sitting in the green room. Let's bring in Brad Husty, driver of the number 137 machine, the Husty Racing Hyundai, and get his thoughts before tonight's race.
He is Brad. Welcome to the commentary booth. Well, Laguna Seca, it's a tight, tricky circuit. How are you feeling about your chances here today?
I'm not doing too good. Back in 5th, I'd like to be a little higher, but we'll see how it goes.
And what do you think is going to be crucial to having a good race here? Do you think it's just going to be pretty much keeping it clean and trying to stay out of the trouble, or try and be a bit more aggressive and mount an attack?
Oh, clean here for sure. Definitely.
Well, I was going to say, it would be quite interesting, I imagine, coming through the corkscrew for the first time, where you've got everyone right on top of each other. And then, of course, later in the race, where you've got the GT4s potentially coming through as well. Good luck to you, I think, is probably the best way to say it, giving you all the best of British. And hopefully you can climb up the rankings and turn out 5th into a podium.
Well, thank you very much, Tim, and I'll do the best I can. Thank you.
No problem. Good luck to you. That's Brad Husty there, currently at 5th at the moment. Well, we'll be starting 5th in TCR.
Yeah, so thank you very much to Brad for joining us here this evening in that Husty Racing machine, and you could hear it in his voice. He wasn't too happy with his qualifying time. He put in the 4 laps, and I think other than Eric Violet, who may be on his last flying lap, his 4th and final flying lap right now, we have times in from the rest of the TCR field. So tell you what, why don't we, if John and Dennis don't mind, why don't we follow Eric around for the rest of this lap? Not much of a lap left, as he's come out of the rainy curve going into turn 11. He's got only one more corner. He's got to square things up here at turn 11, slowest corner on the course. get that car straightened up and not pushed too wide with that front-wheel drive Honda Civic and come onto the front straight. Time he's looking for, provisional pole time, a 1:30.365. He had been almost actually about 6/10 off of that. And let's see if he improves. And he does not improve. A matter of fact, he is going to stay right where he was with a 1:30.95. Talk about consistency. Violet putting in almost the exact same time that he had previously, about a half second off of pole. So it looks like our TCR field is set now, and you can see those drivers over on the left-hand side. Might also mention, as we get ready for tonight's race, that I think most everybody can tell which cars are the TCR cars, the Honda Civics, the Hyundai Elantras. I don't think we have any of the Audi RS3 LMSs here tonight, but we've got the Elantras, and we've also got the Velocitors. But the TCR cars, when you see them on track, they will have blue number boards, blue mirrors, blue windshield banners, and of course, if you take a look at that timing tower on the left-hand side of your screen, we will have their positions in blue. For the GT4 cars, the Pro Class cars, much as we're watching Tony Kernan right now in the number 84 Kernan Motorsports BMW, the GT4 Pro drivers, they will have the red number boards, the red end plates on their wings, red mirrors, red windshield banners, you name it, if it's red, they're in GT4 Pro. And likewise, our GT3 AM drivers, of which I don't believe we have any on track right now, they've got the green number boards, the green end plates, mirrors, and windshield banners, and that's how you will tell them apart. So, Tim, really quick, as we get ready here, the checkered flag is out on the session. I did want to mention that we have a great prize in the Sports Car Series here, an end-of-season drawing for 5 laps at the Speed Vegas Motorsports Park in a supercar of our driver's choice. One lucky driver is going to win this. It's essentially a raffle at the end of the season, and you have for each point that you earn during the regular season, you will get another number or ping pong ball in the hat to be drawn at the end of the season. Our drivers could be driving a Ferrari F430 F1, a Gallardo, Porsche GT3, Nissan GTR, Audi R8 V10 Plus, a C8 Corvette, maybe an Acura NSX, and should be a great award. But tell you what, let's go. And we'll start running down the starting grid here. Now, Tim, this is going to be a split grid and a split start with our GT4 cars up front and our TCR cars gridded up behind, taking the green a little bit after that. If you don't mind, why don't you take the GT4 cars and I'll jump in with the TCRs afterwards.
Most certainly. Martineau starts on pole with Mike Dam joining him on the front row, but only 0.05 of a second separating those two in qualifying. Incredibly tight stuff there. Walsh has Travis Schwenke joining him for company on the second row. The two Orion Racing teammates lining up behind one another in second and fourth. Then we've got Chris Orman and Kevin Ford on the third row, with David Passon and Jeff Jacobs making up your fourth row of the grid. The first of the foreman being the first of the non-BMW drivers. He's in the Aston Martin. Then we have got, moving into 9th and 10th places, Brendan Huron in the Mercedes AMG GT4, with Steve Daniel joining company. First of the GT4 AM drivers. Russ Ruddock starting just behind him. Those two, expect fireworks between the pair of them. And Tony Kernan starts in 12th place, with John Casey rounding out the GT4 field. Also in the Mercedes, only two of the Mercedes runners and riders we have here today at Laguna Seca.
All right, so let's take a look at our TCR qualifiers. Andre Saunders, your pole sitter tonight in his Mohawk Racing Hyundai Elantra. Then we've got Austin Knight driving the Hyundai Velociter, one of our only, I believe, our only Velociter in the field tonight, representing Lead Paw Racing. Starting on the inside of row number 2, driving his D2D E-Racing Honda Civic Type R, it's going to be Eric Violet with Brandon Whitworth, his teammate also in a Honda Civic Type R, starting 4th. Starting 5th tonight, You talked to him here and heard from him pre-race. Brad Husty in the Husty Racing Hyundai Elantra with Marlon Jones. Marlon actually also running one of the Hyundai Velocitors for Lead Paw Racing. Then we've got Tom Jenkins, who will be starting in 7th position, with Kevin Carlisle starting in 8th. And we'll see. I think, Tim, that Carlisle may not have made the grid, so it looks like most likely going to have 7 starters in TCR. And so as we get ready, I want to not remind everybody, but let everybody know that after 8 years, Extreme Motorsports, and let me pull up the note here, Extreme Motorsports 99 has changed names to just Extreme Motorsports, or XMS for short. You can visit all the series at their new website, xmsracing.com. The name has changed, but the racing is still the same for XMS Racing and the many different series, both on the road courses and on the circle tracks, as we have our TCR field, our GT4 field, coming around turn number 10 right now. Pace car is on the pit lane, and as they make their way now through turn 11, we do have a real-life starter behind the scenes that will give that green flag command when they can start racing. You are not allowed to pass the car in front of you until you get to the start-finish stripe. However, as we get ready, and there we go, green flag is in the air for our GT4 cars, and we have there on the front row Mike Dam to the inside, Cameron Martineau to the outside as they head down the hill towards the Andretti hairpin for the very first time. Mike Dam sticking the car all the way to the outside. Oh, and Martineau goes around. Dam contacts Martineau, and for the second race in a row, Mike Dam has issues on the very first lap. That is going to move Chris Walsh up into the lead. Travis Schwenke into second. Kevin Ford moves up into third. Then Chris Thorman, Jeff Jacobs, as we get ready for our TCR start, which is already they're making their way down Rainy Curve right now, and here we go as they get ready. And actually, they are now all the way, Tim, I'm getting a little lost as we can see the TCR cars on the right-hand side. They're already through turn 3, heading through turn 4 now, and starting to make their way over towards turn 6 to head up the hill. Such as the excitement in that GT4 start. I almost lost track of the TCR guys.
Yeah, they definitely weren't hanging around these early stages, getting the pedal to the metal and pushing really hard. I'll tell you what, it almost got a little bit hairy before we'd even taken the green flag, as it was Kevin Ford just got a bit wide coming through right where they are now, and had to take evasive action out onto the dirt. But everyone managed to make it through to take the green flag, but then of course that big contact with our 2 front runners in a GT4 having a collision, and wow, drama right from the start. And what can Dam and Martineau do? I mean, Martineau is looking well down. He's pretty much behind all of the TCRs. And Dam, there we go, down into turn 1, trying to make a bit of progress, and easily trying to dispatch of Ruddock there. BMW versus BMW. Next up is Daniel in the Porsche. Of course, both of these two GT4 AM drivers.
That's right. So Mike Dam now currently sitting 9th in pro, and again right behind our GT3 AM leader. So 2 weeks ago at Barber Motorsports Park, Mike Dam had been leading the GT4 Pro race I'd say about 35 minutes into the 60-minute race, and he ended up having contact with one of the TCR cars. The TCR car had some issues actually coming out of the corkscrew at Barber, came over and got into Dam, and it ended Dam's race. Now, luckily for him, some of his Orion teammates did not make the race, and so although Cameron Martineau jumped into the lead, it basically did not hurt Dam nearly as badly as it could have. Although tonight with this issue, it certainly could be a challenge for him. As I've gotten word from Dennis, and that we have the replay queued up now of that lap 1 incident, and it's ready to go.
Okay, so down, but it's always tricky. Cold tires, and Martineau just loses it by himself there, and well. That's all she wrote, pretty much. We know what the outcome was on that, and the drivers really started to push along now, Greg, and faster time starting to populate the timing sheets. But Chris Walsh, he's at the front and really trying to take command and extend out that nearly 1.5 second lead he has. No trust Shanky right now.
There we go, and we have on board right now, we're on screen, our battle for the lead in TCR, where we have currently Andre Saunders in that number 72 Hyundai Elantra, the Mohawk Racing entry, the black and orange machine, then with Austin Knight in the number 21 Lead Paw Racing entry. He's about 5 car lengths back. Now, Austin was, I believe, well, he wasn't our fastest driver in practice during the week, second fastest during the week. Andre Saunders was the fastest driver, and Tim and I were actually discussing this off air just before we went on, that we were looking at the lap times that both Andre Saunders set during practice during the week and Cam Martineau in GT4 set during the week, and both of them were actually under the real life track records. Cam Martineau in his GT4 BMW had turned in a fast lap, I believe, of a 128.5. Spencer Pumpelly in his Porsche Cayman 718 currently has the real life record at a 130.91. So congratulations, Cam, you've dropped the record by 1.5 seconds. And in TCR, where Andre Saunders put in a 131.5, the track record actually held by Jonathan Morley, set last year in the Michelin Cup, a 133.585, so about 2 seconds between real life and virtual, and a little surprising, but I think also, Tim, this track was scanned by iRacing about a year after it had been repaved the last time, which I believe was in 2008 or thereabouts. And it has been many years since the track has been repaved. As I mentioned, they're going to finally get a new repave there, as well as having that start-finish bridge, which is a rickety old thing, getting replaced here this fall.
We saw it recently with Watkins Glen, where we got the updated model of that and just improved it massively. Just seeing the guys bouncing across some of those red sausage curbs, Greg. Now, what those curbs are like in real life, I had the luxury of going to the Le Mans 24-hour recently and managed to get out on the track and up close and personal with them. And they are ridiculously hard and a lot taller than what you realize and what you see within the sim. And no wonder it really unsettles the car. And also the you'll see the different color patches on the curbing, just they're coming into turn 1 there, where it's blue and white. You see it on the inside now. They're serrated, and there's quite a big drop off between each of the different colors. And what that causes is obviously the rear, left or right, or maybe the front corner, depending on which you're touching them with, is no longer in contact with the ground, only for literally a fraction of a second. But that's what causes you to lose grip, and maybe just the rear end gets a little bit loose as well. Now that can work in one or two ways. It can pay dividends. It can help you to turn in the car that a little bit easier, take that tighter line, or it can cause you to get the car too unsettled and end up losing the rear end. You can lose a little time. It's dicing with a bit of death.
You know, that is perhaps the and gosh knows that Larry Lefty McLeod would never come up with a term like that, but that is perhaps one of the best explanations I think I've ever heard of it, and very much so here at Laguna, where most of the corners are very heavily cambered. But you know, it is always very tricky on entrance, and some of these corners, like for example turn 5, very deceiving, that it looks like the corner opens up very wide, that you can turn in maybe a touch early, but if you do, and really it's much the same at most of these corners, if you drop a wheel, there's no grass here, it is all sand and dirt, and it is very difficult to recover unless you have the car completely squared up. But you know, you said it, the curbing here, for many cars like an MX-5, it really doesn't seem to affect the chassis all that much, but for very stiffly sprung cars, and certainly the GT4 and TCR cars are not as stiffly sprung as, say, the GT3 entries are, but it can certainly impact your ability to get around a corner safely here, and more importantly, carry speed up the hill here as we watch our GT4 drivers come up towards turn number 6 and onto the Ray Hall Straight. The constant rise really. You're really looking for great corner exits here, before you start making the run back down the hill as you do when you start at the corkscrew.
Just looking at the timing sheets right now, it's real intriguing battle. Luckily, we've just cut to it here with Brendan Huron, the Mercedes. I mean, who doesn't love that just dirtily 50 cal soundtrack that Mercedes have fine-tuned over the years thanks to the AMG division? But a really, really close battle right now, and between himself and the two Astons in front of him. They share exactly the same engine due to a collaboration between Aston Martin and Mercedes. Ooh, I didn't quite caught that there. Yeah, a little bit of a wiggle there from Brendan Huron in the Mercedes. But, well, got Mike Dam looming in his mirrors. And I don't know about you, Greg, but that's a rather uncomfortable and slightly unnerving sight to see.
Yes, it is, and you can see even that little run out of turn 3 heading over towards turn 4. How Mike Dam just a little bit later on the brakes, and here he goes. He's going to make a move to the inside on Brendan Horn, and does he get the pass done? Indeed, he does. So now move Mike Dam up into 8th position, move Brendan Horn back to 9th, sitting shotgun on the GT4 Pro field. Next in line for Mike Dam is Dave Payton, the two Canadians. It's going to be, I think, a very gentlemanly, calm passing opportunity there. You're not going to see much aggression from him, but David Payton next in line for Mike Dam with that Aston Martin. As we jump over to the TCR field now, and big change here. Last time we checked in, Andre Saunders from Mohawk Racing, he was your leader in TCR. That is no longer the case. Now we've got Austin Knight in that yellow and white Hyundai Veloster. You can see him making his way down the corkscrew now. He is now opened up almost a 2.2 second advantage on Andre Saunders, and Saunders has the rest of the field starting to bottle up a little bit behind him. He's got the two D2D iRacing Honda Civic Type R's of Eric Violet and Brandon Whitworth, as we see now, and jump back to that GT4 action as Mike Dam coming out of turn 3. He's making it known to Mr. Payton that he's not willing to wait now here at Laguna Seca.
Both Canadians, will they be apologetic, stereotypically Canadian with one another, or are we going to see a bit of elbows out here? I get the feeling it's going to be more the latter.
Yes.
All those Canadian stereotypes are going to be thrown right out the window, Greg, and you can really see the way Dam is just moving around and trying to set him up and find that move. And quite often you'll see the really, really strong drivers, they'll set a move numerous corners in advance where they'll maneuver around the car in front of them to get them exactly where they want them into the corner they're going to choose to make the pass on. And I get the feeling Dan's going to have a big lunge into turn 2, the Andretti hairpin.
Yeah, and that would be the place to do it if he gets a good run out of turn 11, maybe get a little bit of a draft off of that very wide Aston Martin, and then make that run down to the Andretti hairpin. Very tough on the braking, but we'll see how he chooses to do it. If he chooses to move to the inside or outside, I guess obviously a lot of that is going to depend on what David Payton does, and it looks like this time out, Dam is not quite close enough to make a move on the number 64 machine, so he's going to hold steady. Maybe he's going to try to make the move once again, as he did on Brendan Horn, going over towards turn number 5. But you can see there where Dam may be moving around a little bit in Payton's mirrors, and perhaps trying to get Payton to adjust his line just slightly to give Dam more of an advantage.
All while they're battling away though here. Oh, that's Brennan's Huron's gone off. Is he just about managed to avoid the wall? I think there's no damage there, Greg, no. And I think he's well.
Yeah,
Found his lucky stars there.
I think he missed the concrete by about 2 to 3 feet there, and finally got it gathered back up. I think helped quite a bit by that uphill rise to help slow the car down a little bit without necessarily having to get into the brakes nearly as hard in that loose sand and dirt. But as it stands now, looks like Austin Knight continuing the stretches lead out over Andre Saunders. There we go, and you can see there that Knight has now put one of our GT4 drivers, that's John Casey, currently running third in the in GT4 AM in his 046 Racing Mercedes. He's managed to put that Mercedes between he and Andre Saunders, Eric Violet, and Brandon Whitworth.
Incredibly close between a pair of them, and I'd say this is where it gets, I was going to say, really, really tricky as Casey there. The issue with the TCRs versus the GT4s here that you have, Greg, is the TCRs are incredibly quick in the corners compared to the GT4s. However, the GT4s have got far much more grunt and straight line speed. So when you encounter a slower slower GT4, it comes a little bit tricky of how to handle it and how you make your move. As I do believe, oh no, sorry, I got a little bit confused there. I thought that was my dam getting past, but of course it's his teammate Travis Shrakey there, just trying to defend from another Aston Martin. That's Chris Foreman right behind him.
And we continue to watch that battle as they come down over into turn 11, as we are now 1/4 of the way through this 60-minute race. And yeah, taking a look here, Tim, of course, none of these drivers are going to be able to make the entire race distance on a single tank of fuel. They are going to need to take at least one pit stop to get through the race. We anticipate at the pace they're running, the GT4 car is probably going to complete somewhere around 40 to 41 laps. Maybe 2 to 3 laps fewer for the TCR cars. And based on fuel consumption, we think that the TCR cars, actually their pit stop window is open, and it's been open for the last 4 laps or so. The GT4 cars, we're getting pretty close. We've got about 3 laps before their pit window opens. Now at Barber, we saw many of the GT4 cars pit in very, very early. Of course, a lot of that depends on whether or not they're caught in traffic or not, and whether or not they think they can undercut the driver ahead. As we take a look at Mike Dam now getting around Jeff Jacobs in that very wide number 38 Aston Martin. And Dam running a little bit wide coming out of turn 6 and up the Rahal straight, but he finally gathers it back up and now manages to separate himself out just a little bit from the 38 machine.
Dam will be really pushing hard here now, Greg, to try and make up some time to Tony Kernan, who is ahead of him. The gap currently just over a second. As I say that, Dam just closing up even more so, but it's incredibly close up and down the field. Still plenty of close. Oh, that's Brendan Hearn, this time making contact with the wall.
Yes.
Lodged in the wall.
And Hearn is off track, as we can see there, and trying to pick up what corner that is at. And I believe that is outside of, outside of the Andretti hairpin, I believe? Judging by, yep, and indeed it is. He went very, very wide out of the hairpin. He's trying to get that car back underway, as we were actually just before that following Cameron Martineau, who is sitting back in 10th. I'll tell you what, we've got the replay ready to go, whether Brendan Horn wants you to see it or not. Let's take a look and see exactly what happened.
Oh, there you go. Snap oversteer, Greg, and I basically managed to get it lodged in the wall initially. It looked all to be okay, but definite damage to the front right. And if it's caused steering damage as well, that's going to really, really harbour his chances aside of the massive amount of time that he's already lost.
Indeed, and Brendan Horn, he's getting the tow back to the pits right now, so he is going to lose, as you said, a massive amount of time. We were watching just before that incident, Cameron Martineau, who is still sitting back 20th overall at the tail end of the GT4 Pro field, and Apparently, Mr. Martineau, our current points leader in the GT4 Pro Championship, encountered quite a bit of damage, and he just has not been able to move up through the field at all. He is just certainly just turning laps to try and get through this race. As we jump back to the live action, where we are on board right now with Mike Dam and Tony Kernan. Dam in that Orion Racing BMW, Tony Kernan in the Kernan Racing BMW GT4, M4 GT4. And this is the battle currently for 5th.
Really holding up between these two, and I'll tell you what, Dam has really made light work of catching up around about half a second quicker just on the last lap alone, and these two in identical machinery. BMW M4 GT4, or Grand Sport as you like to call it on your side of the pond. And well, it's just another impressive display from the Canadian, but wow, you have to wonder if you hadn't had that contact early on with Cameron Martineau, who's managed to get his car back out and running. But however, Greg, he is about 4 laps down, nearly 5, after spending just nearly 6 minutes in the pit. You do have to wonder what a sort of fireworks and drama we would have seen at the sharp end. However, it has allowed Walsh to take control of this race and maybe vie for a victory that he may not have felt that he would have been on the cards today.
Yeah, I mean, it is one heck of a gift that has been given to Chris Walsh. Now, Walsh currently running, let's see here, after coming in second at Barber last week, Walsh having not been here, I believe, for round 1 of the championship, currently sitting 7th in the points. Actually had been sitting 12th prior to Barber, so he is definitely going to be moving up in the order, assuming that he can hold on to a podium position. But right now he has opened up almost a 5-second advantage over Kevin Ford in his BMW. And if we just take a look at the current times, both Ford and Walsh running very similar lap times here. Last time by a 1:28.89 for Ford, a 1:28.83 for Walsh, and actually Travis Schwenke currently lapping a slight bit faster than our 2 leaders. But as you can see there, Schwenke's still got about a second to make up on Ford.
So that's Dam exiting, well, into the pits early on there, Greg. Clearly feeling like he's caught up in a bit of traffic, trying to get out into fresh air. And that could be really the key to unlocking a great recovery for the Canadian. And just looking at where he is, it's a long drive. So you feel like it takes absolutely forever, especially when your pit box is right at the end of the pit lane. Car up on the jacks, taking new tyres. Now, where is that going to bring him out? Well, it's pretty much going to be last of our runners in a GT4 Pro, and even behind the arms of Daniel and Ruddock. But what it is going to do is put him out into some clear air where he can really light up the timing sheets, grind out some epic laps, and haul himself right back into contention. It's going to be absolutely crucial. It could be absolutely inspired. Oh, we'll find out in about just under 40 minutes time whether it's been the right decision.
That's it. And so Mike Dam pits in right at pretty much the opening of that pit window that we just discussed a few moments ago. Was on the pit lane for a little bit over a minute, and as Tim mentioned, looks like he did take tires. Was not exactly what I was expecting. I figured that most of the GT4 drivers would probably run the one set of tires till the end based on how much time it would add to sitting in their pit stall. But we'll see here how Mike Dam handles it. And you said it, Tim, he's got a lot of free, clean air directly ahead of him. He's not stuck back behind Tony Kernan as he was for the last 2 laps prior to his pit stop. As we jump back now, we were talking about Travis Schwenke in the Orion Racing BMW, and he is certainly making up some ground now on Kevin Ford, as he's only, I believe, about 8/10 back from Ford, but he's pulling Chris Thorman along with him. Thorman in the D2D Racing Aston Martin, very close behind.
He is, and he's looking to stay on to Shanky's coattails. Bring him right into contention. The second between Shanky and Ford. Currently in third and second, respectively, between the pair of them. And Foreman just needs to just keep in that slipstream to bring himself right back into contention, have a chance at the podium. Currently a lockout for BMW right now. Making up our top three, and Foreman, the highest non-BMW runner across in the Aston Martin. As for Mercedes, it's not been their day at the races with GT3 and